My mother-in-law tried to ruin my marriage by stealing my phone, but her plan failed, and her own daughter is suing her. She's absolutely insane. I, 34 female, and my hubby, 37 male, have been married for around 5 years. My mother-in-law was a headache to deal with long before we were engaged. She loathed me from the moment she met me. She has treated me horribly since the beginning, which is absolutely unnecessary. When my husband and I initially started dating, she would make so many comments about how we wouldn't last, and he'd ultimately become bored with me, and so on. This continued after 3 years of being together. She refused to give up on the thought that we would soon break up. However, to her dismay, he proposed, and we became engaged. His father, sister, 35 female, and brother, 39 male, were all thrilled for us and have always been quite supportive. However, his mother was extremely salty and made no effort to hide it. She even expressed her disappointment in front of everyone, which was the most ludicrous thing imaginable. By then, I was used to it, so I didn't let it bother me. Thankfully, the rest of my husband's family is quite pleasant and has always made me feel welcome. My husband and his siblings are really close, and he adores them. My husband frequently stands up for them when their mother is too much to handle. My sister-in-law is married, and my mother-in-law also has a difficult relationship with her husband. While that is unfortunate, it is comforting to know that someone else understands what I am going through. My mother-in-law also made wedding planning extremely difficult. She was continually demanding that everything be done her way. She wanted to choose the venue, dress, cuisine, theme, and everything else, which made the situation extremely stressful. It reached the point where I was considering canceling the wedding because it had become too much. But we made it through, and the wedding went off smoothly. My mother-in-law made a few disparaging remarks about my body, but my mother and sister-in-law yelled at her and escorted her out of the room. Aside from that minor hitch, our wedding went quite well. I hoped that once my husband and I married, my mother-in-law would stop complaining about how we wouldn't last, and we could start to get along. I was very, terribly wrong. She just couldn't get over the concept that one day my husband would wake up and realize I wasn't good enough for him, and we'd split. She would frequently make comments about how my husband should do better, that he should be with someone who could give him children. I'm infertile. She'd even try to suggest other women he could leave me for. For those who are concerned, my spouse defends me anytime she makes rude remarks. He shuts her down immediately, and if things get too nasty, we leave. He will not contact her until she has apologized to me. While her attitude does not change, my husband stands up for me. He has offered to cut off all communication with her if I wish, but I do not want to be the reason he no longer has a relationship with his mother. So I've always assured him it was okay and unnecessary. Besides, I was already used to her attitude, so it didn't bother me too much. We don't get to see my mother-in-law too much because of her conduct. We only go on exceptional occasions like holidays or birthdays. I feel awful for my father-in-law, who is a wonderful guy, but we needed to set these boundaries because my mother-in-law is too much to bear. This applies to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law as well. They avoid seeing her as much as possible. However, when we do go, we are usually all together, and it is enjoyable to hang out with them. This past weekend, we all went over to celebrate my father-in-law's birthday. Everyone was present, which was wonderful, and we had a great time. My mother-in-law maintained her typical self, but we did our best to ignore her and concentrate on the birthday man. We didn't want to give her any more attention than was required. We departed after the party, and everything appeared to be all right. Nothing noteworthy happened, or so we thought. Yesterday, I received a call from my brother-in-law, who informed us that my sister-in-law was planning to sue their mother. My husband and I were really perplexed, wondering why she would attempt to sue her own mother seemingly out of nowhere. He then revealed what happened on my father-in-law's birthday. My mother-in-law had stolen my sister-in-law's phone, believing it to be mine. She used it to message many random men for hookups with the intention of showing my husband and convincing him that I was cheating on him, so he would leave me. However, my mother-in-law did not know she had taken the wrong phone. She had been impersonating my sister-in-law and sending improper messages to random males with her phone number and social media accounts. My sister-in-law found out when she went to her parents' house and requested her father to call her phone, believing she had left it there. When they heard it ringing in my mother-in-law's pocketbook, the truth was revealed. My mother-in-law admitted what she had done, and my sister-in-law lost her cool, according to my father-in-law, who subsequently informed my brother-in-law of what had occurred. My sister-in-law began yelling at my mother-in-law. She called her vulgar names and threatened to sue her for identity theft and slander. My mother-in-law is now losing her mind and upset at me because somehow I caused all of this, despite the fact that she took the darn phone in the first place. She has sent numerous voice messages to my husband, referring to me as the Satan in their lives and alleging that it was because of me that she felt obliged to try such behavior. It's ludicrous, and my spouse is really furious with her. I absolutely doubt this is my fault, but what are your thoughts? You always have hilarious responses, and I appreciate everyone who reached out. I'll have some tea in a few weeks, so get ready. My sister-in-law isn't backing down and plans to sue my mother-in-law. We attempted to persuade her not to attend, but she's adamant and over the wicked witch's antics. My mother-in-law tried to blame me for the entire affair, but my husband promptly shut her down. He has stopped communicating with her and has blocked her on everything. I have also blocked her. She even attempted to call me, but it didn't work. My sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and their partners have also stopped communicating with her. According to what my husband has heard from his father, my mother-in-law is in complete meltdown. She is absolutely perplexed as to how her own children could turn against her in this manner, and she continues to spew rubbish about betrayal and other follies. My sister-in-law is preparing to sue her for theft, slander, and identity theft. She has already engaged a lawyer, and they are in the process of scheduling a court hearing to handle the problem. It's been a stressful few weeks, and I'm proud of my sister-in-law for having the bravery to take her mother to court. My mother-in-law had anticipated this for a long time, so it is quite rewarding. My spouse also intimated that my father-in-law is getting bored of his wife's behavior. He apparently threatened to kick her out of the house again. I feel awful for him because he's such a nice guy, but I'm hopeful for his sake that things will calm down soon. That's all the knowledge I have for now. I'll keep you updated if anything else changes or if new developments occur. A month or two later, I decided it would be a good idea to update everyone who is interested in what is going on. My sister-in-law took my mother-in-law to court. They eventually reached an agreement, and my mother-in-law was required to pay a substantial sum to my sister-in-law for the harm she caused. My sister-in-law also obtained a restraining order against her mother, as she does not want to see her ever again. It's a sad scenario, but I can understand why anyone would be tired of my mother-in-law's toxic behavior after so many years. My father-in-law has also chosen to file for divorce since he can no longer accept her behavior. When he served her with divorce papers, she lost it entirely. She ripped them up, and when he attempted to leave, she closed the door and forced him to stay. He had to phone the police, who arrived and removed her from the premises. The divorce was finalized almost a month ago. After my father-in-law kicked her out, she decided to see us. When I opened the door, she pushed her way inside, shouting at me. I swear my ears almost bled. I tried to get her to leave, but she refused and screamed at me. She shoved me, knocking me to the ground and hitting my head on our table. Thankfully, it was nothing serious, but I was concerned she would try anything worse. My husband arrived home just in time to force her out and call the cops on her. She was charged with assault for assaulting me, and we got a restraining order against her. All of my mother-in-law's children, including my husband, have stopped communicating with her and refused to have any kind of relationship with her, especially since she forced her way into our home and wounded me. Nobody knows what she's doing now, and I pray she never shows her face again. Things have been tranquil ever since she was forced to leave. We pay more visits to my father-in-law, and our family gets together more frequently, which has been beneficial. My sister-in-law is pregnant, which is very exciting. I can't wait to be an aunt. Honestly, my sister-in-law should sue her mother-in-law. She's so insane. She makes crazy eyes seem normal. Someone should probably get her a padded room at Grippy Sock Jail. I, a 19-year-old female, recently moved into a house that I inherited from my grandfather. I'm majoring in psychology, and my institution is close to the house, so it made sense for me to move in. It's more convenient in general. The house is reasonably spacious with a great backyard encircled by a tall fence, and most of the neighbors are kind. However, the woman who lives in the house directly to my right has caused problems. She is quite pious, as is her entire family, and they attend church every Sunday. Now, this is where the story begins. I've been working on lowering my carbon footprint, and because it was a beautiful, sunny, hot summer day, I decided to hang my clothes, including my underwear and bras, on the line in my garden. My neighbor observed and confronted me about it. She shouted something like, "Why are you hanging your dirty underwear out? You should be aware that it is disgusting and terrible. You should feel humiliated." My 6-year-old can see it. Take it down immediately. I answered by informing her that what I do in my backyard is none of her business and that she should not have looked into my yard in the first place. Since then, whenever I see her, she throws me dirty and disgusting glances. She's also started gossiping about me to our other neighbors, which I know, since I overheard her discussing it. The fence is quite tall, so she must have been attempting to see what I was doing in my backyard. Now that I think about it, perhaps I could have used a dryer instead. AITA to dry my underwear and other things in the backyard? NTA. For drying clothing, including underwear, outside, it has been a standard practice for generations. Many people continue to do it in warm weather. Your neighbor's 6-year-old probably doesn't care about your underwear. This is totally your neighbor's problem. While modesty is valued in some religious communities, your neighbor seems absolutely out of place here. Since the invention of laundry, people have hung their garments to dry. She cannot dictate what you do on your property. If you want to keep the peace and avoid dealing with her, hang a sheet or towels to obscure her view of your underpants. My sister is a mother of 4. Currently, she has Sloan, 14 female, Sheen, 13 male, Riley, 7 male, and Bria, 4 female. Sloan and Sheen share the same father, my sister's late husband, Robbie. Robbie died 6 years ago, and my sister and her new husband, Shane, met 5 years ago. Shane already had Riley when he and my sister met, but Riley lacked a mother figure in his life, so my sister filled that role, and Riley now refers to her as Mom. When my sister and Shane initially married, Sloan and Sheen told me that Riley was their mother's son and that she and Shane referred to him as their brother. Sloan and Sheen, however, did not consider Riley to be their brother. They also admitted that Shane was occasionally referred to as their father, but they did not feel the same way about him. They urged me not to inform their mother because she would be upset and attempt to change their minds. I assured them they could speak with me if they needed to, and I hoped things would improve. They've told me over the years that they didn't sense a sibling link with Riley, and then with Bria when she was born. They also do not consider Shane to be their parent, despite the fact the kids call him their stepfather. They see him differently than Robbie and my sister do. Sloan revealed the truth a few weeks ago when she created a scrapbook, as instructed by her therapist. Sloan and Sheen have been visiting therapists on and off since their father's death. My sister read through the scrapbook and noted that Sloan had not included Riley, Bria, or Shane, but only Robbie, Sheen, and their extended family. She'd also shared details about her best pal. My sister asked Sloan and Sheen about it, and they told her how they felt. Later, she spoke with me. She claimed I didn't look astonished and asked why. I informed her that it hadn't surprised me. She replied, "You knew?" and questioned why I hadn't told her. She claimed I was supposed to be her brother and had allowed her to continue believing everything was fine while her children built walls around their hearts. She also admitted that she should have done more to prioritize time spent with the older and younger children. I told her the kids didn't want her to know, and I didn't want them to feel unable to communicate with me. She claimed it wasn't an excuse and that I had failed as an uncle to all 4 of them by allowing this distance to build. Ida? NTA. The distance did not increase. It was always there. Your sister created the divide by attempting to fit the kids into her ideal of a perfect new family. She made them feel compelled to feel the way she wanted them to. You did the right thing by providing a safe environment for the children to confide in, and you should continue to do so. They'll need it. My wife and I married on the Saturday before Halloween and have recently returned from our honeymoon. However, we are still unable to agree on a problem that arose during the ceremony. We had always wanted a Halloween wedding but didn't want to marry on a Monday night for several reasons. If Halloween had fallen on a Saturday, we would have celebrated it during the wedding. There was a discussion regarding holding the wedding on a real holiday. My mother stated that she would not have attended if it had been on Halloween. Everyone was taken aback and asked her for clarification. She stated, "People who get married on holidays are selfish, and I would never take trick-or-treating away from my sisters when you could have chosen any other day." She also stated that children only have roughly 12 to 14 Halloweens to trick-or-treat, and she would never take it away from them for anyone. My wife and her family were mortified. Honestly, I was not surprised. I knew she felt that way, and she had previously skipped her sister-in-law's wedding since it was on Halloween. My wife told my mother that she was being impolite and asked who speaks like that in front of the bride. She accused my mother of favoritism and said that if our wedding was so unimportant, she should simply leave. My mother said, "It isn't Halloween, so it's a non-issue." My wife, who was still unhappy, requested me in private to make my mother go, but I declined. My mother didn't seem to be demeaning her. She was only expressing her viewpoint. I wasn't going to kick my mother out of my wedding for a hypothetical situation. We didn't quarrel throughout our honeymoon, but my wife believes I should have made my mother go. NTA, your mother was simply sharing her views. She even maintained it wasn't an issue because the wedding wasn't on Halloween. She wasn't playing favorites either. She had already missed her sister-in-law's wedding since it fell on Halloween. I understand her point of view. I wouldn't call individuals who have holiday weddings selfish, but I understand why she wants to preserve Halloween memories for her children. She wasn't trying to persuade you to change your mind about your date. She was simply expressing that she wouldn't have attended if it were Halloween. Your wife overreacted by asking you to kick your mother out of the wedding. That is severe. Your mother wasn't being disrespectful. She was simply being honest. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.